Welcome to the Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UK OCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for the Swift Half.
Ian, my friend, welcome to the Swift Half again. How are you?
I'm great, Alan, but I didn't realize we happen to be YouTube stars. You were telling me this just before we got going.
Yes, our very first Swift Half YouTube went up last week, and hopefully we're going to put them up every week going forward. So it's me, you, with blurred backgrounds this week. Last week I didn't have blurred background, so you can see all my calendar behind me and things like that. I wonder if people are actually like going to go in and now look at my calendar and see what events I'm doing.
Probably post that somewhere anyway. I wouldn't worry.
Yeah, probably. It's probably some post somewhere. It's really strange though, because like when I was editing it, Ian, I hate looking at myself. Right now, I'm looking at myself on this, and I'm thinking, "Oh God, this is going to go out live to people," and it's like, it's not the same, is it? It's like I can't look at myself.
No, I do kind of like the anonymity. Go on, Martin. There's a malaprism for you, but yeah, I do like that about the fact of when we're going through someone's stereo through a long runs. They can imagine us however they want to imagine us. I know most of our listeners know what we look like anyway, but who knows? They could imagine us as I don't know Greek gods, Alan.
Greek gods, no way. There's no Greek gods here. I got the idea from Jamie. I'm going to tell you, so Jamie gave me the idea because Jamie's now got into podcasts. Jamie has never ever been a podcast fan, as in terms of putting his earpods in and and then listening to a podcast. But he's been telling me all about these endurance podcasts. He's been listening to, and I'm like, well, when do you listen to him? He says, I watch him on YouTube while I'm on my treadmill. And I thought, oh God, we're missing a trick here. So yeah, hence we're now going to be available on YouTube.
Perfect. Well, listener, by all means, please listen to us on your long run or in your car or however you listen or over breakfast. We do have some listeners who on a Friday we're their breakfast listen. I quite like that idea, other than the fact that there's probably three or four of them and that's depriving us of a few clicks. But other than that, I quite like the idea of people listening to us when we're having talks because as all our listeners know, you and me get up super early on a Friday to make sure the episode is out live to them, don't we?
Without a doubt, it goes live 5 o'clock. We're up for several hours before because of all the editing and everything else. Yeah, we are, Ian. We're never going to break that wall.
We are never going to break that wall at all. Speaking of which, wasn't the weather lovely on Wednesday?
The weather was absolutely gorgeous on Wednesday. I have never felt it. I think it was 24, 25 degrees in Barnsley on Wednesday. I was working from home. Betty laid in the garden all day, back to everyone that went by. So I was on calls or on meetings all day, and the dog was barking her head off. So I've got to say, as I say to people, if I said it once, I said it a dozen times. Sorry, but that's my dog barking at the postman. I think they must have thought I had 20 postmen come to my house on Wednesday, which was strange. But it was Easter weekend last week as well. So it's a 4-day week this week.
Yeah, it was. And the first time that summer is around the corner happened near me, we had our first hillfire of the year. We get them a lot round these parts. I don't mind saying I live near the Pennines because the Pennines go so far you'll never be able to find me. But yeah, we had our first fire, and then on Wednesday we had our second. So spring has sprung and summer's right around the corner.
It's crazy. So now we walked up Black Hill at the weekend over Easter weekend, which is not too far from you. And I know that on Tuesday, I want to say, there was a fire at Marsden Moor. I think it was Tuesday or Monday afternoon. But it's so dry up there, even though all the rain, and we've still got the peat and everything else, but up on the tops, it is so dry. So it doesn't surprise me that, well, it doesn't surprise me what people do, but it doesn't surprise me that there's this fires coming, cropping up here and there. Because, it's even just a piece of glass. Me and Paula were talking, and oh, by the way, I've got a new watch here, and this is what we're talking about, that it's very shiny, and it was shining on the grass from the sun. And I ended up actually taking it off and put it in my pocket because I was thinking, well, that could be quite hot, that, if it's shining on the sun and that. So yeah.
You didn't happen to visit Blackstone Edge, did you, on Wednesday? Because that was our second.
No, no, I didn't. No. I'm going to see my new watch here. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my new watch. See, look at this, got all colours and everything here. Look at this.
Oh,
This is my new
wow.
watch.
Have you learned to tell time yet?
Well, it's actually got dials on it, this one, and I can change it so it gives me like 10 and 10 or whatever time it is and things like that. But I got a bargain. So we went and got the wedding ring on Saturday. I want to say we bought the wedding ring, Paula wedding, white gold, diamonds, all the works. And I thought, well, I need to treat myself to something, and I'm not having a wedding ring. So yeah, a Garmin Epix 2 Pro watch just happened to come through my doorstep on Tuesday morning.
Surely that should have gone to Paula to give to you on the actual wedding day. You slip the ring on her finger and she puts Garmin on your wrist.
See, now that's exactly what it should have been, isn't it? She should have put the Garmin on. It didn't come Monday, actually, because Monday morning, Bank Holiday Monday got delivered, Bank Holiday Monday, not Tuesday. Hence, I used it when I went up the hills.
Yeah. The good news for Alan is we're only about 4 weeks off our next bank holiday. I love this time of year. It's like we're never in work.
Definitely. Haven't I heard something about next year? Might be having a 3-day week or something. There's going to be 2 bank holidays in 1 week.
Potentially, I'm not completely sure, but I don't know if I'd like that. I kind of like Easter, how you end up with 2 4-day weeks. It just feels good. And plus, because it kind of coincides with, I want to say, the Easter holidays for children, in what I do for a living, this time of year is really quiet and it's perfect, Alan. I get so much of that little bitty work done. You know, the stuff that you just put to one side, and then I feel like I can go into summer months with everything done and just get on. But enough about work. What are you drinking?
Oh, I'm on Coca-Cola. I actually am on Coca-Cola, full fat. This is not you know, diet or zero. This is full fat Coca-Cola. I'm going to give myself an energy boost today. That's the plan. I want to be hit the road running today. I want to be out there, energy boost. So full fat Coca-Cola, because I haven't had enough sugar from all the Easter eggs I got bought over last weekend. So that's me.
I was going to say, if YouTube does its job properly, we'll now have an advert from Coca-Cola. So wait a couple of seconds for that to go on. Yeah, that's long enough. I'm drinking water today. Listener, I think this is the first time I've ever drank water. And it's not because we may or may not be on YouTube. It's more to do with the fact that spring has sprung, which means pollen is being knocked off trees, which honestly means I really don't feel like anything other than water. My hay fever is causing all kinds of issues. And Alan, do you want to know the worst part about it?
What's the worst part about it, Ian?
I didn't have hay fever until I turned 40. I never had hay fever. And then I turned 40, and all of a sudden, eyes streaming, that horrible sniffly noise you get from time to time. Back of your throat feels a bit like razor blades, although that could be the fires as well. Say we're on number 4 or 5 by now. You'd think we'd work it out. You'd think we'd figure out a way to solve them. But anyway, but yeah. So, listener, if you're young, and lots of our listeners are, and you're thinking, oh, well, my body's a temple, I'm not ill, wait until you hit 40. Everything just turns off on you. And I can't explain why.
That's crazy. They do say, I have read somewhere that every 10 year your body readjusts or resets. in some way, shape, or form. So it's like the thing. I never used to drink tea. Yeah, I went into Royal Marines, tried out at Royal Marines. That's when I drank tea. Came back out, never drank tea for like 30 odd years again. I'm back drinking tea again. What is that all about?
I don't know. And I will say, Alan, I swear I'm getting more stupid as I'm getting older. And I'll explain why. Because this bank holiday, the intern's not around, so please don't pass this story on. She's aware, but don't pass on that I've shared it with you all. Bank holiday Monday. I've had a. We can talk about Easter in a second. I've had a fairly relaxing few days. We've had quite a intense few weekends. You know, basically from Christmas. I think we talked on the show previously about event after event after event. Nothing on over Easter. Thought I'd have fairly relaxing few days. Of course, on Monday you get that guilt that you've not done anything, don't you? You've
You
not
do.
achieved anything. So I thought, right, well, we've got a few boxes which are just in the living room, which need to go in the loft. Do you know when you put something down, but because it's out of sight, you think, nah, yeah, it can just stay there. Yeah.
Yep. Put a tablecloth over it, it becomes a table. A box becomes a table, doesn't it?
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I thought, you know what, it's about time they go in the loft. So set them up to go into a loft. And when I've finished, I decided I'd be a genius. Okay.
Okay. I'm getting. You're going to be a genius. Come on, you're building this story up in. This has got to be good now.
Well, I have a ladder where it operates as a step ladder, and then you
Yeah.
put it together and you can slide it up. You know how to reach for high to reach
I've got that. Yeah.
spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
most ladders. Well, I thought, and to get into my loft, I had to treat it like a step ladder, and then you have to do the slidey thing because the step ladder it doesn't quite reach up there.
Okay.
So you do it as a step ladder to move the hatch out of the way, and then you do
Yeah.
slidey ladder into it. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I thought, you know what? I don't want to put it back as a step ladder. I'll just get the hatch ready so that when I move the ladder out, the hatch will just pop into place.
Okay. Yeah. I'm getting this now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, genius idea, yeah?
Yeah.
Except I didn't count for the fact that the top of the ladders have a little bit of a material. Well, the feet for when it's a step ladder,
Yeah.
and that got caught on the hatch, leading me to a pair of ladders being stuck in my loft. Okay,
Okay.
because it wedged. The
Yeah.
hatch wedged the ladders into the little hole. Um, but I am a genius. I said this. I am a genius. Okay. So I climbed up the ladders
Yeah.
and through brute strength and ignorance, I got them free. Not
Okay.
realizing that once they were free, they weren't actually attached to anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I managed to break my ladders, get a lovely bruise on the lower part, the lower backside, a lovely bruise on my arm, and scared the whatnot out of the intern who obviously came upstairs to see this commotion and saw me lying there on, well, a pair of ladders which were a little bit twisted.
And now she's taking out extra life insurance because you're getting a
I,
little bit old.
yeah, and this is why women live longer than men. There is not, I know
Oh
I'm generalizing here. There's not a woman in this planet who would be that much of a genius.
no. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Um, Talking about men or women living longer than men, um, I read in the news this week that the oldest man in the world died at 125 years old, which absolutely great age. But it also leads us into I want to say our our condolence section this week. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm not going to call it anything else. It's a time to reflect and things like that because this week the OCR world has lost two huge characters, two absolutely massive characters in Jack Carpenter and Kev Lacey. were out and about. Jack, so well known in the OCR world. He was one of the very first podcasts I listened to. Him and Luke de Benedict. Great character, Spartan athlete, went all around the world. Amazing coach. He has coached so many of the youngsters that are coming through in the OCR world now. I'm not going to name anyone because I'll probably not missing someone out. But it was. I'm going to say with Jack, it was expected at some point because we knew about his illness and we brought that up before. But it's still a shock when it happens, isn't it?
Yeah, it is because we get into our heads this almost invincibility. I kind of blame Hollywood for this because Hollywood has convinced us that no matter what life throws at you, you're invincible and you'll always defeat it. And Jack with his treatment, there were some bright times to some degree, when it looked like he was beating it, and then some incredible dark times. And honestly, it still came as a shock, even though, like you say, we knew that there was a stop clock there, and yeah, Jack, amazing character. I'm not gonna pretend, Alan, like we're best buds. I don't think that's fair to Jack, but
No,
he was one of the nicest guys I've ever been an acquaintance of. I know him and Luke were very, very supportive of the podcast in the early days. Like you, I listen to them. Sometimes it's interesting. Some of their episodes taught us stuff that we make sure we don't do. Like I think one of their episodes was completely left speaker only, which we've done in the past. But what they did definitely teach us on that podcast was not to take things too seriously. And I'll be honest. I think the first time I heard of Becky Neal, who arguably the best podcaster on this network, although I'm sure plenty other people will argue for Will or for Finn or for Libby or for Jamie.
yeah,
That yeah, she was on their podcast, and they have this way of just bringing out the best in people. So yeah, and as we know, as you mentioned, lots and lots of OCR athletes can just draw a line to him coaching them or him coaching people who then coach them.
too right, too right. And that was a shock. But then, literally 24 hours later, we find that Kev Lacey, who is someone's was probably a little bit more behind the scenes. A lot of people know his partner Ginger, but then the breaking news that Kev had passed, and I've got to admit, I only met Kev once to my knowledge, and I never really knew him. I'm going to be honest, say I never really knew him, but I've looked at quite a few posts on social media, and James Parrish put one out from Nuclear Racers, and I never realised exactly how much he did down at Nuclear Racing, how much time he gave of volunteering and helping out and things like that. But another one that's passed away too soon.
Yeah, and I think you're right in there. I think Kev or Kevin, I apologize, listener. I'm not sure which he preferred, but I believe he was very much someone who was beloved by everyone who knew him. And also, he had that habit, almost like Keanu Reeves. The 7 degrees of separation from Keanu Reeves. I bet you,
Mm.
Alan, if you look at some of your old pictures, Kev will be there. Or look at old posts. Like I was thinking, Mud Kings. If you remember Mud Kings, Kev was one of the first people involved in that, and he just did so much. In a way, it's a shame he didn't get more credit in life, but it's really nice that he's getting all of his credit now, even under unfortunate circumstances. as you mentioned, his wife Ginger is very much known within the community. One of the nicest people I've met, and you don't realize how Ginger goes out of her way to kind of know people. Like she came and did HYROX, and this was the early days of HYROX, and she had a clue who I was, and I still try and well, I am fairly anonymous, Alan. People know you. We see this at the award. People know you, and then it's and Ian, and it's like, oh, that's Ian. But fair play to Ginger, and you know what? It wouldn't have surprised me if Kev was there again. Can't recall, but it wouldn't surprise me because he was always so supportive. So condolences out there to Ginger. I don't know the details. I don't know if you do, but by all accounts, it seems like it was a shock.
Yeah, and I don't know the details. And it's all very private at the moment, and it should stay that way. If they want to stay that way, we will honour that decision. I've not reached out to them other than to put a post on and say condolences. But yeah, so let's move on from the bad news. Let's go on something news. Did you listen to Johnny Weir to find out who was his favourite podcast host, myself or you, Ian?
You know what? I absolutely did not. There was something I was meant to do, but after we finished recording last Friday, it was of course Good Friday, and I just mentioned it was a relax, so I just went and chilled for a bit and completely forgot. So do I need to go back and listen, or are you gonna spoil it?
I will spoil it for you, Ian. I will spoil it. He gave the perfect political answer when I asked him and said, I like both of you. I like both of you.
Oh,
So so John Weir, big thank you to John and that. And I'm going to give him another shout out, Ian, because and I didn't know this. So John has autism and ADHD. And I'm going to say I never noticed it. It was just a young, real polite young man to me that I got on with when we spoke. But he's actually doing some fundraising for the National Autistic Society, and he's organised his own 5K run during World Autism Month of April. So this month he's doing his own 5K run during this month, and he had a target, and I'm actually going to put the link in the show notes of £250. He wanted to raise £250. He's already raised 725, Ian. So what we need to do is we need to get him to £1,000. So any of our listeners out there, if you can just donate a couple of pounds, click the link in the show notes, whether you listen on YouTube or on Apple or Spotify or wherever you're listening. In the show notes, there's a link. Yeah, click on that link, make a donation, please. Let's get to £1,000 for young John Weir for the National Autistic Society.
that's incredible. So he's only young. I'm not gonna
11.
He's 11. So he's only 11 and he's already organized more runs than I ever have.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, yes. He's probably done more OCRs than what you have, I reckon, too, Ian. Because he's done quite a few OCRs.
He probably has, and I reckon he's never fallen off a set of stairs getting out of the loft either.
Too right, too right. Let's move on to some other news. I've got some fun things to go. Do you want to go some fun things? We've had a little bit of a roast section. Let's go a few fun things.
Let's talk about the worst thing to ever happen at a backyard ultra other than someone inventing it.
This is you're about the Sherwood Pines Russellback Backyard Ultra, where a field of top quality athletes rocked up, and I mean top quality athletes rocked up. And lap 33, they all went out. So, sorry, lap 34, they all went out to do lap 34. They came back in only to find that there were no tents in the village, Ian. It was the wind. It was last week's wind blew the tents away, and the organisers apparently were chasing tents rather than marking them back into the finish line. So they had to call it off due to high winds. But imagine doing 34 laps, Ian. And I think there's about 10 or 12 people left in it at this point. You know, these are the best. These are the best of the best ultra runners are rocked up to all this to find it being cancelled. I feel sorry from on one hand, but I also find it a little bit funny on the other.
It's a good story, but I am curious. Were they all marked as the winner or were they all marked as DNFs?
They were. It doesn't actually say on the post I read. It just turned around and says it was cancelled, and that there were 10 people finished it. Yeah, 10 people did the full 34th lap. Um, I just I'd be gutted as an athlete. I find it funny. I do find it funny in some respects. I'm not going to deny that. But as an athlete, I think I'd be gutted. If I'd done 34 laps, and I've gone there and I've got plans of doing, 40, 50 laps or seeing how far I can run, you're going to be gutted for that weather. But I have read a post about it. One of the athletes did turn round and say that it was getting tougher because they were turning around into a headwind and there was literally headward down and they were having to run rather than walk. So they were saying that it was actually getting virtually too tough to get back within the hour mark, and that's why people were dropping at that point.
I bet you all of them were gutted that they didn't take the 18th lap shortcut to the finish line and got a medal.
Oh, could you imagine in the backyard ultra an 18th lap shortcut? Oh, that joke's never going to die, is it?
It is not. Can we introduce it for Farmyard Jam that at the 18th lap, if you drop, maybe there's a special prize.
The special prize for the 18th lap. You could no, I'm going to get people who drop now. Yeah, I will sort that out. The 18th lap, you drop at the 18th lap, you're going to get something.
Maybe it can be a golf tee because 18th hole, 18th lap.
18th. Oh, I like that, Ian. 18th hole, 18th lap. Golf tees.
Yeah, and plus it's really inexpensive.
Penny each.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because you don't want it to be too good as to tempt too many people. But to some people, well, one, getting to 18 laps is going to be incredible anyway. But it's a sign of recognition.
I think we're going to get golfers shouting at me now saying, when was the last time you played golf? And I say a penny a tee. Because I know golf balls now are about £5 each, someone's told me. 60 quid for a
Really?
packet. £60 for a pack of 12 golf balls, someone told me at work the other week. So that means tees must be at least 10 pence each now.
Right. Can we pause for sure? We've got a golf club around about 3 miles from the house, and I could probably pay for Johnny Weir getting up to 1,000 if we would just let me go and collect some golf balls.
Just, I used to do that when I was when I was young, actually, because the golf course very near me in Conisbury, where I was brought up. We used to get golf balls and then sell them back. Go in the woods and that and find them when they'd mishit them. And then in the lake there was a lake, and we'd paddle in the lake and pick them up and sell them back to the golfers. £5 a good. Now I might just quit work and start and do that for a living because it's got to be worth that £5 a golf ball.
Sounds great. And I will say that, golfers didn't mind you doing that. What they did mind, allegedly, is if you ran onto a green and stole the golf ball and then ran into a forest. Allegedly, they didn't like that.
There was an actual hole where they couldn't see where they hit, and I do know people. I didn't do it, honest Lord, I didn't do it. I used to steal the golf balls that landed in the fairway. Wasn't me, Your Honour. There's no evidence towards that malarkey. But that's
Right,
one great story.
right. From youngsters perhaps getting up to no good. Not me and Alan, you understand, listener, but from youngsters that you shouldn't emulate, let's go to a youngster that you should emulate because we have got a new Spartan captain and she's one of our own.
One of our own, Libby Joyce, announced as Spartan team captain for the females. What an honour. I mean, she's making so many inroads. I mean, not only is she an amazing athlete, she's competing on all levels, all distances in OCR. Won at the awards, the crossover athlete, because she's moved over into sky running and other types of running. So, the people voted for her as a crossover athlete. It's amazing that now she's getting recognition in Spartan. I don't know where she's going to get the time from because she's got a full-time job and everything else. I don't know where she's literally going to get the time to do all of these things here.
I've no clue, but I do want to know, do you get full Spartan regalia for being team captain? You know, like you and the 300 did. Does Spartan supply that?
Oh, they've got to, haven't they? If you're going to be team captain, you've got to what's his name? Is it? Oh, I can't remember the name of the
Spartan Phil?
Spartan, not Spartan Phil, but Spartan Phil's a good one. But I was going to say the actual Spartan's name who did fight against the Persians, but I can't remember his actual
Oh,
name.
Leonidas.
Leonidas, that's it. To look like Leonidas, you've got to have that full kit on. When we did the 300 down south, everyone went down with plastic shields and plastic things. I actually took real steel one down, a real steel hat and a real steel shield, thinking that everyone else would be, only to find out they'd all got plastic ones.
So you did that in, I think it was a nice day as well. It might have been as nice as Wednesday in full steel regalia, and I imagine it was heavy.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I had the proper arm guards on and leg guards on, steel shield, helmet. The helmet was the worst because it got a leather thing inside it, but it had like studs on the leather thing that was sticking into my head all the time. But it was good. I enjoyed it, and and because of course we got like speedos on basically because that's what Spartans wore. They wore speedos back in the day. It wasn't so hot. It was just heavy. Everything was just heavy. But what an amazing time that was. 300 people. The march. If anyone ever never seen it, you need to go back onto UK OCR Obstacle Course Racing Facebook group. There's a video on there. If anyone's got it, anyone's listening to this and's got the video, send it me. Let me share it again because seeing 300 people march into the starter pen, and we did actually march, was absolutely phenomenal.
It's amazing. Those kind of things, memories like that last forever, though, don't they? And I've had memories recently, Alan, because we're in April now. I was thinking back to like 5 or 6 years ago, kind of when this podcast started, when we had, we had COVID times.
Yeah.
And the reason I was thinking about that is I found, when I was putting things into a loft, I found a load of Tough Mudder challenge packs. Did you ever do the Tough Mudder COVID challenge?
I'm going to say no, Ian. I'm pouring myself a drink here. I'm being a bit ignorant. No, I didn't. And the reason why I didn't, because I was never a Tough Mudder fan back then. I thought and this is me just being honest. Tough Mudder for me it was too expensive. It was like, why should I do a Tough Mudder when I can do 3 other events? And I wanted to support all the smaller events and everything else. And it was you who got me back into Tough Mudder when you made me go to Europe's toughest mudder. So it's all your fault. I've got a tattoo on my leg and everything else that now gives me a season ticket every year, and I go back to WTM because it
I'll
was you
happily
who
take,
got me involved.
yeah, happily take that blame. That's fine. No guilt on my part. But yeah, it almost feels like another age. I guess it was. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, listener, once a month. Tough Mudder would send you a pack, or you could purchase all six, or you could just purchase it individually, and they'd set you challenges. And yeah, it'd be one challenge a week if memory serves. And whilst we did have a scoreboard, it was kind of like, you kind of had to just call your own fouls, as we say in golf. Another one. And I'll be honest, most of the challenges were that exciting. There was stuff like get 300 feet of elevation in a run or something like that. But my favorite one, Alan, was go out and find street signs which spell out Tough Mudder within, I want to say you had like 2 hours to do it in. And you had to find street signs where the first letter was the Tough Mudder. So you found one beginning with a T, one with an O. Do you know how hard it is to find a street sign which starts with a U?
um, I can't think of any that would start with a U.
Round near us, well, a few miles away. I think I had to drive to get anywhere close because I needed to find the U. We have an uncouth road.
An uncouth road. Couldn't you just have the umps and just say it's umps spelled because we're from Yorkshire, umps, UMPS.
Yeah, I guess you could, but yeah, it was you could definitely do that to cheat. But yeah, finding one with a U wasn't easy, but it was that kind of fun. And I do kind of miss stuff like that because virtual races post-COVID, we were all virtualed out, weren't we? So virtual
We were.
challenges just don't really happen anymore.
They don't. They don't. I have seen that Tough Mudder are doing a. They're calling it saboteurs, which I think is a little bit of play on traitors, and they're challenging people that go to a Tough Mudder this year to decide on two of your team. If you've got a team of 10 or more doing it, two of your team become saboteurs, and it's their job to try and get as many people as they possibly can to miss obstacles. So you might turn around if you're a saboteur. So, oh, I'm frightened of heights. I can't do this one. Or Dave, don't do that one with me. Stop here with me and look after me. Or I'm frightened of water. Sarah, don't do that. Do that water. Stop here with me and things like that. Which I think is a bit of a fun game, but you pay to the obstacles, so you go to the obstacles.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory, is it? Do you get anything if you win like a free ticket?
They didn't say there was anything free on it, but it was just saying it was fun to try and get, not to get them to miss all the obstacles, but the whole idea as a saboteur, you've got to try and get each one to miss at least one obstacle. And if you're not a saboteur, the whole idea is to get everyone to do all the obstacles. So it was a bit more of trying to get even the saboteurs to do all the obstacles. And I think that was the game. Someone is frightened of heights, getting them, helping them above the top to get over the top of like Mudhorn and things like that.
That seems fair. And completing all the obstacles often is a matter of pride, or in the case of like the UK OCR series, is essential really if you want to get some of them top scores. And Alan, we've recently had the UK OCR series kick off with Tartan Warrior. I'm just gonna give a quick plug to Tartan Warrior and say if you haven't already, go and check out them the photos that they put up. Fantastic free photos on their Facebook. Of course, go back on UK OCR, have a watch of the videos. It makes me feel chilly just looking at the photos, some of them. But yeah, definitely go and check that out. But Alan, we have to say more series races are coming, aren't they?
They certainly are. May 9th, the British OCR 12K Championships down at Nuclear Races. July 12th, Spartan Midland Sprint. September 12th, Born Survivor. Yes, Born Survivor in September. I know you people don't get that, but yeah, we're going there, not early this year. Then October, the final race of this series will be the Storm Race. Dates to be decided. On British Obstacle Sports website, the results are up after first race, which is great news. They're up there, but like I say, Titan Warrior pictures are out here, which is great. Some amazing pictures on there.
They really are. And yeah, well done to the whole team up there in Titan Warrior. Can't wait for next year. Well, I can't wait to see you all do it again next year. But the chance of me doing it are quite slim, to be fair. At least I'm honest. But is there any other boss news?
Yes, the sprint series is underway. So the OCR sprint series or speed series they call it are races between 50 meters and 400 meters, and you get points at them all. We've already had two. March 7th, Nuclear Wildfires 400 meters. March 28th, Titan Warrior 400 meters. Coming up, April 19th, Rumble Fitness. 6th of June, Fit IQ. 14th of June, HC Fit. 13th of September, PT Barn. 3rd of October, Fit Body Farm, and then a couple to be decided, which is the Ultimate Warriors and Pentathlon GB. But I have got the current standings in. Do you want to know what the current standings are?
Am I at the top?
No, you are not, Ian. I'm sorry to say you're not at the top.
Go on then. Well, let's give some other people some flowers.
Okay, so currently in the females, the top three, Tamar Barkley, currently only done one race on 461 points, which is actually a tie with Louise Ferryman in fourth, both on exactly the same. Second place, Rebecca Neal, Becky Neal as we know her, done 2 races, 950 points, and in first place. And I think no surprise to people, we know how fast she is over short distances, and she is an obstacle genius. Shyla Dehaney, 2 races, 1,000 points, maximum points out there. In the men,
Did you say that in reverse, by the way? Is Shyla at the top?
Shyla's at the top, yes, in first place.
Right. I think you might have said that Tamar was first.
Oh, sorry, Tamar and Louise joint third. Sorry, apologies there.
There we go.
Apologies there. And we can't edit because we're on YouTube. We can't edit on YouTube.
We can't edit on YouTube, but well done to Shyla.
And then in the men, you're going to love this, Ian. You're absolutely going to love this. So in the men's, in third place, 2 races down, 886 points, is Harry Jeffries. Now, Harry's 14, 17-year-old is in the 14, 17-year-old, but it's in third place already. In second place, Ramunas Wickers, 911 points, over 45. So we go from under 17 to over 45s. And then in first place, another junior racer, 14, 17-year-old, with maximum points, 1,000 points, Oliver Addy.
Wow. Well done to Oliver. Well done to all of them. That's kind of what I like about the Speed series, in that it's a little bit like a leveler, isn't it? In some ways, if you're good at obstacles, of course. A little bit like ultra running can be a bit of a leveler, where age hardly matters. So yeah, well done to everyone who's taken part. When's the next race? Do we have it handy?
I do. I did actually tell you, but you wasn't listening to that part, was you? It is coming up on 19th of April at Rumble Fitness.
Yeah, I do apologize. I was just checking the notes when you were saying that. But the reason I was checking the notes, Alan, is because we were talking about challenges. I wanted to line up the next story, which I absolutely love, which is Meredith Smith, who recently wore 55 shirts during a half marathon. What a incredible story this is.
I mean, this is an amazing story. And when I saw this, I mean, this is a Guinness World Record to run a half marathon wearing 55 running shirts. But it's not just a world record she's gone for. This is to symbolize something that's absolutely amazing. So putting 55 shirts on to her current body is the size she was when she started her weight loss journey. And that, to me, is what makes it absolutely special, that you can look at yourself and say, right, I started my journey. This is the size I was. I was a big person, to my size now. It took 55 shirts. I've lost 55 shirts in my weight loss journey. Absolutely amazing. She's from the USA, but I think this is an absolutely amazing thing. And well done to you, Meredith.
No, and I always like to applaud people on a weight loss journey. I make no secret, and you make no secret, Alan. We've both been there. Recently, I was at a shop, a gaming shop, and someone came in and they'd lost 2 stones, and you just know the level of commitment it takes to lose any kind of weight, and more importantly, keeping it off. Alan, I think both me and you have yo-yoed a bit in our time, and it's incredibly hard. But well done to Meredith for doing this, and for having the foresight of actually keeping her old clothes. Because I don't know about you, Alan, all my old clothes are long since gone, and I never want to be in a position where I have to buy that size shirt or that size pants again.
Too right, too right. And you're right. I'm still yo-yoing. I cannot make up I can lose like 7 or 8 pounds in a week, and I can put 7 or 8 pounds back on, and I don't know why. I think it's an age thing, Ian. But there was also another world record that took place this last week. Claire Elms became the oldest woman to ever run 5 kilometers in under 18 minutes. 62-year-old she is, and she ran a 17:45 at Battersea 5K. And Ian's on mute. If you can't hear him, he was just on mute there.
Absolutely unbelievable. I'm going to have to stop doing that now we're on YouTube. I only do it to improve the sound quality of you, Alan. But yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely unbelievable for Claire to do that achievement. It always reminds me that when you're doing under 18 minutes, that's under a 6 minute mile each time.
It's absolutely crazy. And my last two runs have been fairly fast ones myself, and that's me running like a 24-minute 5K. I call that fast nowadays. And that's because Jamie's trying to raise his VO2. I don't get all this VO2 max stuff and everything here, and I'm not going to even start to delve into it. If someone out there wants to come on and talk to me about VO2 max, I'll happily listen to you, but I'll probably not take it all in because I don't get it at all. But yeah, so we're doing fast runs. I couldn't run that. I couldn't run that pace now, and I'm 5 years younger than her.
No, exactly. But speaking of VO2, if you go back on the fitness racing podcast and listen to the podcast we did with Max not so long ago, we talk all about VO2 and HRV. Is it HRV? Yeah, it's
HRT,
HRV, isn't it?
HRV.
HRT.
No, it's
HRV.
HRV.
What?
HRT is hormone replacement therapy.
We don't talk about that. We do talk about HRV. But yeah, so give that a listen. Briefly mentioned some fitness news, so let's go through it. I know certain people have now got a little bit of a HYROX reel fatigue in that you go on Facebook and all you see is HYROX reels of people doing stuff. Some are really, really good. Some, and I might get heat for this, are honestly trying too hard. Like the ones of doubles were the man wears a sports bra and hot pants. The first time it was done, it was funny. After the first time, it's just whatever. So people might have high rocks, real fatigue, but there is one that I will share that you absolutely need to watch, which is a blind athlete being supported by their guy doing the wall balls.
Wow, that's amazing.
And the thing that makes it incredible, Alan, well, probably
Go
not
on.
that incredible,
Go on.
still a lot better than yours and mine.
That doesn't surprise me, and that really does not surprise me.
No, her depth was perfect. I think she was given some kind of leeway for hitting the target, but it reached the target, which was a lot more than mine did.
I mean, that's going to be quite difficult because it's that hand-eye coordination, and you just haven't got no eyes, have you? It's like you can throw things high, but it's you don't know when you're hitting a target. That's super hard if you're blind. Oh, well done to her.
No, absolutely, and I'll share it in the pub. You definitely need to watch it. It's one of them that just makes you smile a little bit. This coming weekend, Deadly Dozen starts its season in Macclesfield. Sorry, I'll catch myself. It starts its UK season because it is international now, and there are races happening all over. This weekend in Macclesfield. And then, with the exception of maybe one date, maybe two dates, it's every Saturday thereafter, various venues around the UK. Check it out now. And Alan, we're going to be at, I think, a little over half of them. So we'll be attending, we'll be doing some media. Um, Thank you to Jay and the team for renewing that contract. And yeah, honestly, I think we would have had us at more if we could, but real life happens. So I'm very happy that we're able to attend a fair amount. So if you're going to Deadly Dozen, make sure you pop over and see us. If we're there, we'll get you a quick interview. And who knows, Alan, we might put them on YouTube.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. We could be we could start another YouTube channel called Fitness Racing TV.
Absolutely. Well, Fitness Racing Podcast TV. I reckon Fitness Racing TV might be taken, and I don't want to get sued.
Too right, too right. Yeah.
But let's keep it going. Also, Conquer Fitness. We're a big fan of Conquer Fitness. That's another local race to the northwest, which is usually an Alderley Edge at a car park, as you know, Alan. They're
Yes.
doing rather than level 7, they're going to Stoke-on-Trent and they're doing Super 7. So at Stoke-on-Trent Athletics Track, they're going to do an outdoors event there. I think it's sometime in June, so definitely go and check those people out.
Wow.
The
Is that a rugby ground? Sorry, is that a rugby ground they're doing it at? Because I'm just
I
thinking
think it's an
Super 7. I'm think that's a bit rugby-ish type sounding, isn't
no,
it?
no, it's an athletics track, but the Super 7 being you've got 7 workout stations, probably the same as level 7.
Yeah.
You are right, though. Super 7 is rugby. The other bit of news when it comes to fitness racing, I'm going to come to you for this, Alan. Hybrid Games dropped a day a week before their event. So this coming weekend, Hybrid Games are at Farnborough.
Yeah.
The last weekend, they published their map, and eagle-eyed viewers noticed that it only had one date on it, even though initially you had a Saturday and a Sunday. As we understand it, people who were booked for Sunday did get the option of a refund, move to Saturday, or move to another event. But Alan, what say you about cancelling a day so close to the event?
It's toughy, and I've said this before. As an athlete, if I got my athlete head on, I'd be saying you're wrong. You shouldn't be cancelling an event that close to event. You need to be giving like a month's notice and things like that. With my race director's head on, I'm going to say at this moment in time, people are not booking like they used to, Ian. Before, you could guarantee that you would get 80%, if not more, of your bookings within up to 2 months before the event. You'd get 80% of your bookings up to 2 months before the event, and then you'd probably get another 20% in. So when you were planning buying your t-shirts and your medal, you'd take whatever you got 2 months, which was like usually 9 weeks before the event, to place your orders for your t-shirts and your medals, and you would probably add about 15 to 20% on. That was the whole industry standard for OCR, for road running, for everything. It was the industry standard. That's changed. That has massively changed. And now we're seeing it not quite flip, but we're seeing it close. It's 50%. You know what I mean? There's 50% of people booking, with up to 2 months. But that's like, for some events, that's not even a break-even point. So they've got to decide at what point do you have a cut-off. And I guess, and I'll stick up for these and turn around to hybrid games, they probably didn't want to cancel the Sunday. But if they've got like, let's just say they've got 1,000 runners running on a Saturday and only 100 runners running on a Sunday, you're going to cancel the Sunday. You've still got all your rent, all your electric, or everything else to pay for, your hire and everything else, and you're not even going to have enough runners to cover the event. So they've left it as late as possible, and I'm going to stick in their side of it at this time, because I do know how hard it is for a race director to ensure they've got all the ducks in a row to make sure that the event runs smooth. I'm going to stick up for them and turn around and say, I'm pretty certain they kept it till the very last minute before they had to make a decision. It's great news, though, for athletes, that they have turned around and said, right, refund, transfer to another day or another event, because that's what a race should do. You can't cancel a race, and this is my biggest bugbear, yeah? And any race that does it, I hate every one of you, and I've been caught out with it. You cancel a race and you offer them 20% refund or something stupid like that, or even no refund and no transfer to another event. No, you've got to offer them the refund, the transfer, whatever, at no cost to that athlete.
Yeah, I agree with you there in terms of the refund situation. You are right. Hybrid games probably, and we don't know the reason for cancelling. We've no clue. We're just speculating that it may be due to low attendance. Because as you say, Alan, it's hard out there, and I think a fair few people, hybrid games seem to get the numbers, but I do think a fair few people are discovering what OCR RDs discovered in 2015, that just declaring you've got a race to put on isn't a pot of gold that's suddenly going to get a lot of people signing up. So I don't suspect this will be the first cancellation we see. And it wasn't cancelled, it was just a day cancelled. But fair play to them. I think they perhaps left it a little bit too late, if I'm honest, particularly when there was no outward signs of any issues. Like, I might have respected them a little bit more, say, come on Sunday, and it's a cheaper race, or whatever, just to get the numbers in to try and break even. That's it. That's the reason. For all we know, Alan, could be the venue turned around and said, "Oh, actually, guys, we've got a better offer on that day. Can you leave on Saturday?" We don't know, but yeah, I'd agree with you. I think they may have left it a bit too late, but that's just my opinion. You've got another opinion, and opinions are opinions, and I imagine hybrid games are not happy with having to cancel, because they probably are still going to eat a lot of costs in any event. Another debate for you, and this probably happens back to some OCR days, when it comes to prize giving. There's a current debate within the HYROX world of elite athletes are having to run more and more pro races because that's how they'll qualify for the Elite 15. They can no longer run a couple of Elite 15 races, get the time up, and be fairly comfortable that they're going to qualify for the next Elite race.
Yep.
As a consequence, people who are not elite, but perhaps had an opportunity at an age group level within pro to get a flag, are no longer getting flags. And we saw this in London, particularly when it came to, for example, the mixed doubles, where there was a lot of elite athletes in town. They all decided to go and do mixed doubles for a laugh, and the top 5 in a certain age category had at least one Elite 15 athlete in, and then number 6 possibly would have been on podium if they weren't there. What is your view on this? Because I don't know if there's a right or a wrong answer.
It's another tough one, Ian. This is a really another tough one. And I guess it resonates a little bit with any athlete that are half decent, who've got a chance of podiuming. As we know, I won a Wolf Run. Does that make me an elite athlete? No, it doesn't make me an elite athlete. It makes me a competitive athlete. So when I went to races, I was always trying to win. But then you get the likes of Conor Hancock rock up, or John Albon. You knew you weren't going to win. I mean, this is back in the day of the small events. If HYROX have an elite race on that weekend, yeah, and I'm not just saying an elite 15, I'm saying that they have an elite race on, because we talked last week about them having Division 1 as well and things like that. So therefore, they've got to open up more elite races. They need to turn around and say to people, are you an elite racer? Are you trying to compete for Elite 15? If you are, then you need to be racing in elite races, and leaving the age groups and the pro races to someone else. However, you could get the likes of an amazing athlete that never ever steps up to elite, and I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen in races. We've actually had it in OCR. We had Spartan. We had quite a few real good quality male and female athletes that stayed in age group events rather than step up into the elite, because they knew they could go to an age group and they could win age group. They were going to go into elite level and they were going to come mid-table, if not low down table. So they stayed in age group. It's a tough one. But we're talking here about a pro athlete, an elite athlete taking an age group medal. I don't like it. Really don't like it. I think it's wrong. But I get why they're doing it, because they're wanting to qualify for the Elite 15. And HYROX are not giving them any other option until they step down to pro.
Yeah, no, exactly, Alan. And it's such a difficult conversation. I think you highlighted all the points there, and I'll throw this back to you. Where do you draw the line? Because of course we saw this argument in Spartan when it came to age group athletes that people felt that some of the age group winners who would win it year in, year out were effectively sandbagging to um, get a little trophy at the end of the year rather than moving up to elite and being a number. When does someone become too elite? Is there a line?
Well, that's down to Spartan. That is really down to not Spartan. Sorry, that was down to Spartan back then. In this instance, it's down to HYROX. Yeah, HYROX. They either put a time on it and turn around and say, if you run a sub 58 minute, for instance, and that's just a number off the top of my head, and I don't know what standard it should be, but if you run a sub summit level, you are an elite athlete, and you are not going to qualify for age group and pro podiums because that's the way it should be. You're a top athlete. But there's no, how can I put this? HYROX at this moment in time is an amazing event. It's a great sport, but it's not an Olympic sport. Yeah, it's not an Olympic sport. Not like, and we'll just take road running for instance. You have got a clear differentiation between an elite athlete and you've got an age group winner because the elite athletes are running for a certain time. They've got paces. They've got there's a, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a sense of pride of running elite. It's I'm an elite athlete is actually something people should be proud of, no matter what sport it's in. And we'll take an American sport as in basketball. Yeah, you've got athletes in basketball that make it to the top show, but then you've got Division One. And the amount of people I've watched on social media and that who are good basketball players, and they say, "Oh, so what you got? Oh, I was Division One basketball player," and they're proud to say, "I was Division One." They're not proud to say, "Oh yeah, I'm a college basketball player. I was Division One." That means I'm one level away from being top 10. I'm one level away from being playing for the LA Lakers. We don't get that in these sports because they're not getting the coverage the big sports are. Your American football, your football in the UK, your basketball and things like that. And we don't have a system that turns around and says in the UK what an elite athlete is, what an age group athlete is, and what differentiates back. In this instance, it's HYROX's problem. They've got to put a limit on it and say, if you run this time, you are an elite athlete. You might not be the elite 15, but you're an elite athlete. So you should be running at elite level.
Again, great points. I don't want to do this topic to death, but I'm gonna throw one final suggestion to you. Could a third way be if HYROX was to do a overall podium on the day, maybe the top five overall, and then after that, six, etc., go into the age group and get age group flags?
Yeah, you could do, but then would you not get in some age groups? You'd get more people taking the age group. So, for instance, we'll just say 30 to 35 is like a very, very competitive wave, or it is in the UK OCR Series. You could get 10 athletes running elite races, pro races, and out of them 10, you're going to get 3 that win, first, second, third overall, and then your next 7 drop into the age group of 30 to 34. No one else is going to get a prize. It's a tough one, and it really is. I like the idea of it. I know some events have done that, in the past that they have one race, and I guess for me that's not necessarily a bad thing either. But because HYROX have got an elite 15, or they're wanting an elite 15, yeah, they're causing the problems themselves. Get rid of elite 15 and just turn around and say everyone runs pro. Everyone runs pro thing, and whatever time you get, that's what makes you an elite athlete for the elite 15 race.
Yeah, which would take it back. I guess the natural progression would be almost having the first wave of the pro division at each event, being for quote unquote competitive athletes, and that was almost a race within itself. It wouldn't be called an elite race, but it'd be called like pro overall or something like that. Of course, the downside to that would be you could potentially have races like we see in Spartan. This race would be effectively an elite race by another name, and unless you're an elite 15 athlete, you probably don't want to be in that one. You want to be in the race that's going to get you all the shiny little flags.
Exactly. It's a tough
But
one to answer, Ian.
there's absolutely no, and we could go round and round forever, listener, but I'm going to save you for that. I don't think there's anything else on the notes which is worth bringing up. I know I put a couple of what we call holding topics, stuff that yeah, if we've nothing else to talk about, we can go on. But I think we've gone for a little over an hour, which is our usual length. So, Alan, is there anything else we should cover?
There's nothing from me, Ian.
Right, with all that being said, then I'm going to say it's goodbye from me.
And listeners, thank you for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. And if you do listen, you want to watch it on YouTube, watch on YouTube. You'll get to see what Ian looks like. And he's got a Decker top on today, and I've got a UK OCR top on today. And we never even planned that either. I just told him right at the beginning of the start we was going to put on YouTube. But anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You take care. You stay safe. You keep on running. And thoughts to Jack and Kev and his family. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.